This is essentially going to be an analysis of certain ideas in society. It's going to deal with feminism and egalitarianism. And it's going to have some really silly music playing over the background. Feminism is a subcategory of egalitarianism. Egalitarianism is the view that people should generally have equal treatment. When applied to society, this means that regardless of the things that we can't change about ourselves, like our sex or how we look physically, the law treats us fairly regardless. But feminism extends beyond egalitarianism. They are making certain claims. For example, women have fewer rights than men, or their rights aren't being recognized as equally. However, women have more rights and protections than men. For example, women have the right to genital integrity, which men do not have. Boys are circumcised, which is a form of genital mutilation. Girls are protected from a similar practice, as they should be as human beings. Women have the right to vote without being subject to the draft, as they should be as human beings. I don't think men should be drafted either, but if we decide as a society that men ought to be drafted in order to protect our democracy, then women ought to be drafted as well if we want an equal society, if that's the goal. If we are prepared to allow men to be disposable, then we ought to be prepared to allow women to be the same. Women are automatically given preference in custody hearings, typically. I'm not a father, but I imagine if I was, I'd have very strong feelings about the matter. If we stand for equality in society, then we should be concerned with any kind of systematic discrimination against men in these cases. Rather than being oppressed on a systemic level, women are advantaged. Men are asked to make more sacrifices for society, and women are given extra rights and protections. Perhaps an absolute equality is impossible or unrealistic. If and when there is a pay gap, it illustrates how an economy works. Value is traded for value. For example, female models earn more than male models because female models are in higher demand. Employers want to pay more for more valuable workers. If a man stays at home raising the children and his wife is dedicated to her career and never takes any time off, then it's expected that the man will have earned less in his lifetime than the woman. There is a natural pay gap depending on your priorities in your career. If those roles were swapped, then the man would make more in his lifetime. That's just capitalism. It's not sexism. It's a pragmatic system of trade and competition. That's kind of how every economy works. Perhaps we should stop judging people based on their sex or their race and start judging people based on their character, their skills, and accomplishments. I think that men can deal with this inequality and still be successful. Rather than try to lobby for change in the law, you might be thinking to yourself, why don't men just stop getting married? And that's actually exactly what's happening. Marriage rates are declining. Men are checking out of society and they're going their own way. Men should have the right to genital integrity. If men are drafted, then so should women, and men can choose not to get married to avoid that inequality. And this would bring us closer to living in a more equal society. People should have the right to choose their priorities, family or career, and output should have something to do with input. The choices you make have the kind of consequences that you would expect. I'm an egalitarian, which is why I'm not a feminist. It seems redundant in our society, and it would be great if feminists would realize this and realize that their time and energy would be better spent focusing on third world countries where their efforts and their philosophy might actually do some good. That would be a kind of pragmatic approach to this situation. Stay skeptical.